The ship fell through the black sky like a dying star, pressed her face against the cold glass of the window, and watched the human vessel burn as it entered their world's air. She was only 12 cycles old, but she had never seen anything like this. The elders had told stories of visitors from beyond the stars, but those were old tales, meant to frighten children. Now one of those stories was becoming real before her eyes. The ship crashed in the fields beyond the village, and the ground shook so hard that fell to her knees. Smoke rose in a great column, black against the purple evening sky. The villagers gathered in the square, speaking in worried voices. Some wanted to run, others wanted to hide, but Elder raised his hand and spoke in his deep, calm voice. "We will go to them," he said. "If they mean us harm, running will not save us. If they need help, we must give it. That is our way." Followed the group of adults who walked toward the crash site. Her mother tried to stop her but was too quick, too curious. She had always been that way, asking questions when she should have been quiet, looking at things she should have left alone. The elders said curiosity was dangerous, did not care. The ship was larger than she had imagined. It was as big as the village meeting hall, made of dark metal that reflected the dying light of the day. Parts of it were broken and burning. A smell filled the air, something sharp and strange, like hot metal and burned plants mixed together. Covered her nose and watched as Elder approached the wreck. A door opened in the side of the ship. It moved slowly, grinding and scraping, damaged by the crash. And then the human stepped out. Had never seen a human before. She had seen pictures in the old books, drawings made by travelers who had visited other worlds long ago. But those pictures had not prepared her for this. The human was tall, taller than any of her people, with skin that was a strange pink-brown color. It had hair on its head, dark and messy, and its eyes were a color she had no word for, something between the sky and the deep water. It wore a suit of some kind, torn and dirty from the crash, and it moved slowly, holding its side as if in pain. Elder raised both hands, showing he held no weapon. "We come in peace," he said, speaking the common tongue that all worlds shared. "We mean you no harm." The human looked at them with those strange eyes. For a long moment it said nothing. Then it spoke, and its voice was rough, tired, but somehow still strong. "I need help," the human said. "My ship is damaged, my crew is injured, please." Watched as the adults rushed forward to help. More humans came from the ship, some walking, some being carried. There were 6 of them in total, and all of them were hurt in some way. The villagers brought blankets and water and food. The human healer, a woman with short hair and tired eyes, worked beside the village healers to treat the wounded. That night sat outside the meeting hall where the humans were resting. She could not sleep. There were too many questions in her head. Where had they come from? Why had they crashed? What did they want? The door opened, and one of the humans came outside. It was the one who had spoken first, the one with the strange eyes. He looked at and smiled, a small, tired smile. "You cannot sleep either?" he asked. Shook her head. "I have too many questions." The human sat down beside her, moving slowly because of his injuries. "Questions are good," he said. "Questions are how we learn." "The elders say questions are dangerous," said. The human laughed, a soft sound. "The elders are partly right. Questions can be dangerous, but not asking them is more dangerous. If you do not ask questions, you do not learn, and if you do not learn, you cannot grow." Thought about this. It made sense to her, more sense than what the elders said. "Where do you come from?" she asked. "A world called Earth," the human said. "It is very far from here, many stars away." "Why are you here?" The human looked up at the sky, at the stars that were beginning to appear. "We are explorers," he said. "We travel to new worlds to learn about them, to meet new people, to understand the universe." "But why?" asked. "Is there something you are looking for?" The human was quiet for a moment. Then he said, "We are looking for many things, knowledge, friends, a better way to live. But mostly I think we are looking for ourselves. Every new world we visit, every new people we meet, teaches us something about who we are." did not fully understand this, but she felt the truth of it somewhere inside her. She had always felt like she was looking for something, some answer to a question she did not know how to ask. Maybe this was what the human meant. "My name is," she said. "I am Captain James Walker," the human said, "but you can call me James." Over the following days, the villagers helped the humans repair their ship. James and his crew worked alongside them, sharing their knowledge and learning in return. Watched everything, asking questions whenever she could. She learned that the humans had technology far beyond anything her people possessed, but they did not look down on the villagers for being less advanced. They treated everyone with respect and kindness. But also noticed something else. The humans were worried. They spoke in low voices when they thought no one was listening. They looked at the sky often, as if expecting something to appear there. Wanted to ask about this, but she was not sure how. Then, on the fifth day, Elder called a meeting. The whole village gathered in the square, and James stood before them with his crew. "We have something to tell you," James said. "Something important. The reason our ship crashed here was not an accident. We were attacked." A murmur ran through the crowd, felt her heart beat faster. "There is a group of beings called the Dominion," James continued. "They are powerful and they are cruel. They conquer worlds and enslave the people who live there. They have been spreading through this part of the galaxy for many years, and they are coming here." The crowd fell silent, saw fear on the faces of her people, the same fear she felt in her own chest. "We came to warn you," James said, "and to help you if we can. The Dominion is strong, but they are not unbeatable. Humanity has fought them before. We have won and we have lost, but we never stop fighting, and we never abandon those who need our help." Elder stepped forward. "How long do we have?" James looked at him with steady eyes. 7 days, maybe less. Their ships are fast." 7 days. Thought about her home, her family, everything she had ever known. In 7 days it could all be destroyed, unless they did something, unless they fought back. The next days were filled with activity unlike anything the village had ever seen. James and his crew worked with the villagers to build defenses. They showed them how to make weapons from the materials around them. They taught them how to fight, how to hide, how to work together as a unit. It was hard work, and many of the villagers were afraid. But something strange happened. As they worked, as they trained, the fear began to change. It did not go away completely, but it transformed into something else. Something harder and stronger. Determination. Courage. Trained alongside the adults. Her mother did not want her to, but insisted, and eventually her mother gave in. James taught himself, showing her how to hold a weapon, how to move quietly, how to watch and wait and strike at the right moment. "You are a fast learner," James told her one evening, as they sat together watching the sunset. "I want to protect my home," said. "I want to protect my people." James nodded. "That is a good reason to fight, the best reason. But remember, fighting is not just about strength. It is about heart. It is about refusing to give up even when everything seems lost. That is what makes a warrior." "Is that what humans do?" asked. "Refuse to give up?" James smiled, but there was something sad in his eyes. "We try. We do not always succeed. Sometimes we fall. Sometimes we lose, but we always get back up. We always keep fighting. That is who we are." On the 6th day, the scouts reported seeing lights in the sky. The Dominion was coming. That night no one slept. The villagers gathered in the square, holding the weapons they had made, wearing the armor they had built. They were farmers and healers and craftspeople, not soldiers, but they stood together, ready to face whatever was coming. James addressed them one last time. "I will not tell you this will be easy," he said. "It will not be. I will not tell you that everyone will survive. Some of us may not see tomorrow, but I will tell you this. What you are doing tonight matters. You are standing up against evil. You are fighting for your homes, your families, your future. And no matter what happens, no one can ever take that away from you." He paused, looking at each face in the crowd. "Humanity has fought many battles. We have faced enemies who were stronger than us, faster than us, more advanced than us, and we are still here. Do you know why? Because we never fight alone. We fight together, and tonight we fight with you. You are not facing the Dominion by yourselves. We are with you, and together we will show them what we are made of. A cheer rose from the crowd, loud and fierce. Felt it in her chest, felt it spreading through her whole body. She was afraid, yes, but she was also ready. The Dominion ships came with the dawn. They were massive things, dark and angular, blocking out the rising sun. They landed in the fields beyond the village, and soldiers poured out of them. The Dominion soldiers were tall and thin, with gray skin and black eyes that showed no emotion. They carried weapons that glowed with an ugly red light. The battle began. Had expected chaos, noise, confusion, and there was all of that, but there was also something else, something she had not expected. There was order. The villagers moved together just as James had taught them, covering each other, supporting each other. When one fell, another stepped forward to take their place. The Dominion soldiers were strong, but they were also arrogant. They had expected the villagers to break and run. They had not expected resistance, and they had not expected the humans. James and his crew fought at the front of the battle, moving with a speed and skill that seemed impossible. James himself was everywhere, rallying the defenders, taking down Dominion soldiers, refusing to retreat even when the enemy pressed forward. He was wounded, bleeding from a cut on his face, but he did not stop. Fought too, alongside her mother and the other villagers. She was small and quick, and she used that to her advantage, slipping through the chaos, striking when the enemy did not expect it. She was terrified, but she kept moving, kept fighting, just as James had taught her. The battle lasted for hours. At times, it seemed like the Dominion would overwhelm them. Their numbers were greater, their weapons more powerful, but the defenders held on, fighting for every inch of ground. And then something changed. The Dominion commander, a tall figure in black armor, stepped forward. He raised his hand and his soldiers stopped fighting. For a moment the battlefield was silent. "Enough," the commander said. His voice was cold, mechanical. "You have fought well, better than we expected, but this is over. Surrender now and some of you may live." James stepped forward to face him. He was covered in blood and dirt, his uniform torn, his body battered. But he stood tall and his voice was strong. "No." The commander tilted his head as if confused. "No, you cannot win, you must see that. Why do you continue to fight?" James smiled, a fierce, wild smile. "Because that is what we do. We are humans. We do not surrender. We do not give up. We do not abandon those who need us. You can kill us, but you cannot break us. And as long as one of us is still standing, this fight is not over." The commander stared at him for a long moment. Then he raised his weapon. What happened next would never forget. From the sky a sound came, a deep roar growing louder and louder. Everyone looked up, Dominion and villager alike. And there, breaking through the clouds, came ships, dozens of them, human ships. "Reinforcements," James said, and his smile grew wider. "I told you, we never fight alone." The human ships descended on the Dominion forces like a storm. The enemy soldiers, caught between the defenders on the ground and the attack from above, began to fall back. The commander shouted orders, but it was too late. The tide had turned. The battle ended quickly after that. The Dominion retreated to their ships and fled into the sky, pursued by the human vessels. The villagers stood in the ruins of their home, exhausted and wounded, but alive. They had won. Found James sitting on a broken wall, a medic treating his wounds. She sat down beside him, too tired to stand. "You called for help," she said. "Before the battle, that is why the ships came." James nodded. "We sent a signal when we crashed. It takes time for messages to travel between stars, but our people heard us. They came." "How did you know they would come in time?" James looked at her with those strange, beautiful eyes. "I did not know, but I hoped, and I believed. That is all any of us can do, hope and believe, and keep fighting until hope becomes real. Thought about this. She thought about everything she had seen, everything she had learned. The humans had come to her world as strangers, as visitors from a distant star, but they had not stayed strangers. They had become friends, teachers, allies. They had fought alongside her people, bled with them, risked everything to help them. Why, she asked. Why did you help us? You could have left, you could have saved yourselves. James was quiet for a moment. Then he said, because that is not who we are. Humans are many things, we are flawed, we make mistakes, we fight among ourselves. But when we see someone in need, we help. When we see evil, we stand against it. That is what makes us human, not our bodies, not our technology, our hearts, our choice to be better than our worst instincts. He put a hand on her shoulder. You have that same heart, I saw it in you from the first moment we met. The curiosity, the courage, the refusal to accept things as they are. You are young, but you have the spirit of a warrior. Never lose that. Felt tears in her eyes, but she did not let them fall. She was a warrior now. Warriors did not cry. Or maybe they did. Maybe that was okay too. The humans stayed for many weeks after the battle, helping the villagers rebuild. More ships came, bringing supplies and people to assist with the recovery. The village was different now, marked by the scars of war, but it was also stronger. The people had faced their greatest fear and survived. They had learned that they were capable of more than they ever imagined. On the day the humans prepared to leave, the whole village gathered to say goodbye. Elder presented James with a gift, a traditional pendant that symbolized courage and friendship. James accepted it with gratitude, placing it around his neck. You will always be welcome here, Elder said. You and your people, you are our friends, our family. And you are ours, James replied. The universe is vast, but distances mean nothing when hearts are connected. We will meet again, Elder. I am certain of it. He turned to who stood beside her mother. And you, young warrior, what will you do now? Had thought about this a lot. She had a dream now, a purpose. I want to learn, she said. I want to explore. I want to see other worlds, meet other people. I want to help others the way you helped us. James smiled. Then perhaps one day you will join us. Humanity is always looking for brave souls, and you are one of the bravest I have ever met. He reached into his pocket and pulled out something small, a patch, round and worn with a symbol on it, a star surrounded by a circle. This is the symbol of the human explorers, James said, placing it in her hand. It has been with me since my first voyage. Now I give it to you. When you are ready, find us. There will always be a place for you among the stars. Clutched the patch to her chest. She could not speak. There were no words for what she felt. The human ships rose into the sky, their engines glowing like small suns. Watched them go, watched until they were nothing but points of light among the stars. She knew she would see them again. She knew her story was just beginning. Years later, when had grown and traveled far from her home, she would tell others about the day the humans came. She would tell them about the battle, about the courage and sacrifice, about the lessons she had learned. Humans were not the strongest beings in the galaxy. They were not the or the most advanced, but they had something that made them special, something that made even the mightiest empires fear them. They had heart. They had the refusal to give up, the determination to keep fighting, the willingness to stand beside others and face the darkness together. That was what made humanity great, not power or technology, but the simple, stubborn, beautiful choice to be good, to help, to protect, to love. Anne, who had once been a curious child watching a falling star, carried that lesson with her to the farthest reaches of space. She became an explorer, a warrior, a friend to countless worlds. And everywhere she went, she shared the story of the humans who had saved her people. She wore the patch James had given her until the day she died, never forgetting where she came from or who had shown her what she could become. And when people asked her about it, she would smile and say the same thing every time. This is the symbol of hope, the symbol of humanity. It reminds me that no matter how dark things get, there is always light. There is always someone willing to fight. And as long as that is true, there is always a chance. The stars were vast and the darkness was deep, but humanity was out there, spreading light wherever they went, and was proud to walk among them.